50 years after the war ended, Earth had changed. The blue planet that once stood alone now led a coalition of free worlds. Humanity's greatest export wasn't technology or weapons. It was hope. Admiral Taiwan, now 92 years old, stood before a gathering of students from 30 different species. They came to Earth to study at the new Galactic Defense Academy. He was their guest speaker, one of the last living commanders from the war. "You want to know how we won?" Taiwan said to the young faces watching him. "You think there's a secret? A special tactic? Some human advantage you can learn and copy?" He paused, letting them wait for the answer. "The truth is simpler and harder than that. We won because we refused to lose. We were outnumbered, we were outgunned. We should have been destroyed in the first week. But we kept fighting because behind us was everything we loved. That's not a tactic. That's purpose." Dr. Yuna, now a senior member of the Galactic Council, spent her days working on peaceful cooperation between species. The battles she fought now were diplomatic ones. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges. Preventing the small disputes that could become big wars, she had written a book called Why Humanity Survived, that was read across the galaxy. In it, she explained that humanity's victory wasn't about being special. It was about being stubborn, creative, and unwilling to accept defeat. Those were traits any species could develop. The Valkyrie Federation had become a productive member of the galactic community. They focused on technology and trade now instead of conquest. Some Valkyrie even joined the Galactic Defense Coalition, using their military experience to protect others instead of oppressing them. Former War Master Thorvax, now simply called Thorvax, had written his own book, The Last Empire, described his experiences and the lessons he learned. He traveled to liberated worlds and spoke about how conquest corrupts and how peace enriches. Some hated him. Others forgave him. All listened. In one memorable speech, Thorvax said something that echoed across the galaxy. "We didn't lose because humans were stronger. We lost because we forgot why we were fighting. We conquered because we could, not because we should. Humanity fought for home, for family, for freedom. That made all the difference." Commander Ji-hoon, now retired, ran a tactical academy where officers from dozens of species learned adaptive warfare. His students called him the teacher who made thinking dangerous. He taught them that the greatest weapon wasn't a gun or a ship. It was a mind that refused to stop looking for solutions. One of his students once asked, "What if we face an enemy that's adapted to human tactics?" Ji-hoon smiled. "Then adapt again. That's the lesson. Never stop evolving. Never become predictable. The moment you think you've found the perfect strategy is the moment you've lost." Lieutenant Sora became humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Defense Coalition. She was responsible for coordinating defense strategies across allied worlds. Her philosophy was simple: we don't want to fight. But if someone threatens any member of the coalition, they threaten all of us. Under her leadership, the coalition grew to include 127 member worlds. Not an empire, but an alliance of free species choosing to stand together. The Valkyrie had conquered by force. Humanity, led by example. Engineer Minho's inventions had transformed civilian life across the galaxy. Better power systems, faster communication, medical devices that saved millions of lives. He rarely talked about the war, preferring to focus on building rather than destroying, but he kept one thing from those days: the first weapon prototype he built. It sat in his office as a reminder. "This saved lives by taking them," he told visitors. "I'm proud of what it did, but I never want to build something like it again." Specialist Hannah worked on the Galactic Communication Network, a system that connected every member world with instant, secure communication. The technology that once jammed enemy signals now brought the galaxy closer together. She also helped develop educational programs that taught digital literacy to species just entering the space age. "Information should be free," she often said. "Keeping secrets breeds conflict. Sharing knowledge breeds peace." Agent Jiwoo had become a legend in intelligence circles, though few knew her real name. She built a network that prevented 3 potential wars through early detection and diplomatic intervention. Her philosophy was that the best intelligence work was work that prevented problems rather than solved them. She trained a new generation of agents across the galaxy. Your job isn't to spy, she told them. Your job is to understand. Understand why conflicts start. Understand what people need. Understanding prevents wars better than any weapon. Medic Hygien's interspecies medical program had saved countless lives. Diseases that plagued one species were cured by research from another. Medical techniques developed for one biology helped others. The program became one of the great success stories of galactic cooperation. She was nominated for the Galactic Peace Prize but turned it down. "Give it to the doctors who do the work every day," she said. "I just started a program. They're the ones saving lives." Commander Seung-ho remained in military service longer than most, finally retiring at 75. Earth's defensive fleet under his command never fired a shot in anger. That was his proudest achievement. "The best military," he said, "is one that never has to fight." Scientist Nari made breakthrough discoveries in stellar mechanics that revolutionized energy production. The weapon she created to win the war led to peaceful technology that powered 100 worlds. She always said this proved her point. Any technology could be used for good or harm. The choice was what mattered. Volunteer Junho, now 73, still flew cargo between worlds. His ship, the Steady Hand, had been repaired so many times it was barely original anymore. But the memorial on its hull remained pristine. 42 names. 42 civilians who fought because it needed doing. Young pilots often asked him what the war was like. He told them the truth. It was terrifying. People died. Friends were lost. But we did what needed doing. That's all. When your home is threatened, you fight. It's not complicated. Captain Do-Yun passed away peacefully at age 95, surrounded by family. His funeral was attended by representatives from 83 worlds. The indomitable, now a museum ship, was towed past Earth one final time in his honor. Millions watched and remembered Dot at his funeral. They read his last message. "We fought not because we wanted war, but because we wanted peace. We stood not because we were fearless, but because we were terrified and stood anyway. We won not because we were better, but because we refused to give up. That's the human way. May it inspire others to stand when their time comes." Monuments to the war stood on every world that fought for freedom. On Earth, Mars, Tarvos, and dozens of other planets. They all carried the same inscription in hundreds of languages. They thought nothing could stop them. Then humanity appeared. Not because humans were invincible, but because humans refused to surrender. May all free beings remember, tyranny falls not to superior force but to unbreakable spirit. The galaxy had changed in 50 years. No new empires rose to replace the Volcari. Some species tried, but they found resistance immediately. The lesson had been learned. Conquest was no longer profitable. Cooperation was the new currency of power. Children across the galaxy grew up hearing stories of the war. How a small species, with primitive technology, stood against an empire and won. How they inspired others to fight for freedom. How they built peace after victory instead of a new empire. The humans in those stories were heroes, but the humans themselves insisted they were ordinary. That was perhaps their greatest gift to the galaxy, proving that ordinary beings could do extraordinary things when fighting for something worth fighting for. Earth thrived as part of the galactic community. Human ships explored distant stars. Human scientists worked with alien researchers. Human artists shared their culture with beings from across the galaxy. Humanity took its place not as conquerors or rulers, but as partners. One day, a young student from a species that hadn't been discovered during the war asked Dr. Yuna a question. What made humans special? Why could you do what others couldn't? Yuna thought about all the battles, all the sacrifices, all the impossible victories. She thought about the people she knew who fought and died. She thought about what made them stand when others fell. We're not special, she said finally. That's what you need to understand. We're not stronger or smarter or better. We're just stubborn. We adapt, we refuse to quit. And most importantly, we fight for each other, not just for ourselves. Any species can do that. The Valkyrie couldn't stop us because they didn't understand that. They fought for empire. We fought for home. The student nodded, understanding. So anyone can do what humans did? Anyone, Yuna confirmed. That's the whole point. The galaxy doesn't need more humans. It needs more species willing to stand up for what matters, willing to adapt and fight and never surrender their freedom. That's the real lesson of the war. 50 years after the war, the galaxy was at peace. Not because war was impossible, but because the price of aggression was too high. Species remembered what happened to the Valkyrie. They remembered that even the mightiest empire could fall if they underestimated the determination of free beings. The alarm screams filled every corridor of the orbital defense station. Commander Taemin ran toward the command deck, his boots hitting the metal floor with heavy thuds. Outside the windows, space looked wrong. It was full of ships. Thousands of them, all coming toward Terra Nova. Sir, we count over 3,000 vessels, his tactical officer reported. Her voice shook. They just appeared out of nowhere. Our sensors didn't catch them until they were right on top of us. Taemin looked at the screens. His small fleet of 200 ships looked like toys compared to what was coming. Terra Nova had been humanity's dream. 8 million people called this world home. It was the first planet humans had settled beyond their own solar system. For 200 years, they had worked to get here. They had built cities, farms, and families. Now something wanted to take it all away. All ships, battle formation, Taemin ordered. Get me a line to Governor Haywon on the surface. Now. The screen flickered. Governor Haywon appeared. She was in the Planetary Defense Center. Behind her, people rushed back and forth, preparing for what was coming. Taemin, tell me something good, she said. I can't, he replied. We're about to find out why no one answered our deep space probes for the last 50 years. Whatever is out here, it doesn't want neighbors. The alien fleet opened fire. Massive beams of red energy crossed the space between them. Taemin's ships fired back. The first exchange lasted only seconds. When it was over, 12 human ships were gone. The alien fleet had lost 3. Shields at 60%, someone shouted. Return fire, all weapons. Taemin commanded. For 2 hours, the battle raged. Human ships were faster, more agile. They dodged and weaved between the alien vessels, trying to stay alive. But there were too many enemies. Every time they destroyed one alien ship, 5 more took its place. Sir, the Daejin is gone. The Bizen just lost its engines. The Gwangju is requesting permission to ram the enemy flagship. Permission denied, Taemin said. Every second we buy gives people on the ground more time to evacuate. But deep down, he knew there was nowhere to evacuate to. Terra Nova was the only human world within 30 light years. If they lost here, 8 million people had nowhere to run. On the planet's surface, Governor Haywon watched the sky burn. Pieces of ships fell through the atmosphere, turning into shooting stars. Some were human, some were alien. It didn't matter. Both meant death. Planetary shields at maximum, her defense coordinator said. But Governor, we've analyzed the enemy weapons. Our shields will hold for maybe 3 hours, 4 if we're lucky. Then we use those hours wisely, Haywon said. She opened a channel to every city, every town, every settlement on Terra Nova. This is Governor Haywon, I won't lie to you. We are under attack, we are losing. But before we fall, the galaxy will know what happened here. They will know what was done to us. And they will know that humans don't go quietly into the dark. She turned to her chief engineer. Activate the quantum relay network. The man's eyes went wide. Governor, that's experimental. We build it to send messages faster than light, but we've never tested it at full power. We don't even know if it works. Then today we find out, Haywon said. I want every camera, every sensor, every communication device on this planet linked into that network. I want every human colony, every space station, every ship in our entire civilization to see what's happening here. Live right now. If we're going to die, we die as witnesses. In orbit, Taemin's fleet was down to 40 ships. His flagship, the Inchin, was barely holding together. Fires burned in 3 compartments. Half his crew was dead or wounded. Commander. We're getting strange readings from the planet, his science officer said. It looks like they've activated some kind of quantum transmission array. It's broadcasting on every frequency we have. Taemin understood immediately. Hey, one wasn't just sending a distress call. She was making sure every human alive watched what was about to happen. Smart. If humanity survived this day, they would never forget. They would never forgive. The alien fleet moved into position around the planet. They began their bombardment. The planetary shields lit up like a blue dome over the world. Each impact sent ripples of light spreading across its surface. Hey, one watched the shield's strength drop, 90%. 80%, 70%. Across human space, people stopped what they were doing. On Mars, in the asteroid belt, on the moons of Jupiter, on stations orbiting distant stars, they all watched. Parents held their children, workers left their jobs. Ships stopped in the middle of their journeys. 8 billion humans watched as their first and only colony world died. Taemin made his decision. He had 20 ships left. 20 ships against 3,000. The math was simple. He opened a channel to the planet. Governor, we're coming down. We can't win up here, but we can buy you time down there. No, Taemin, Haewon said softly. Don't waste your ships. Don't waste your people. This is over. But listen to me, listen carefully. I need you to do something more important than dying here with us. What? He asked. Survive, she said. Run, hide, get away. Then go back to human space and tell them exactly what you saw. Tell them what these creatures are capable of. Tell them that we need to be ready. Tell them that Terra Nova fell, but humanity will not. Taemin felt tears on his face. He wiped them away. I'll tell them, Governor, I promise. Good, Haewon said. The shields behind her were failing. The blue light was flickering now. One more thing, Commander. Make sure they remember us. Make sure they remember what was taken, and make sure they remember what we'll take back. The shields fell. The first alien weapon struck the surface. Then another, and another. The feed from Terra Nova showed cities burning, oceans boiling, continents cracking apart. It lasted 17 minutes. Then the transmission ended. 8 billion humans watched in silence as their colony world died. They watched as 8 million people were murdered. They watched as their dream of the stars turned to ash. Taemin's remaining ships turned and ran. The aliens let them go. Why chase 20 ships when you've already won? But as his ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Taemin sent one final message. It was short, just 8 words. But those 8 words would change everything. Remember what they took. Remember what we'll take back. Across human civilization, 8 billion people heard those words. Something inside them changed. Something broke. Something woke up. The Vraxis Empire, the name humanity would later learn for their enemy, had destroyed 847 civilizations before this. They thought humans would be number 848. They thought wrong. They had sent a message by destroying Terra Nova. They had no idea that humanity had received it loud and clear. They had no idea what they had awakened. They had no idea that the apes from Sol System were about to teach the galaxy what revenge really meant. The first human world fell, but it would be the last thing humanity ever lost. 6 months had passed since Terra Nova burned. 6 months since 8 million people died while the rest of humanity watched. The solar system looked different now. Everyone could feel it. Something fundamental had changed. Hyun-woo floated through the workshop in the asteroid belt, welding a piece of alien metal. Around him, 50 other engineers did the same. They worked in silence, focused completely on their task. The piece in front of Hyun-woo had come from a Vraxis ship. One of the 3 that Commander Taemin had managed to destroy before retreating. Got it, Hyun-woo said into his communicator. Their shield generators use a rotating frequency pattern. That's why our weapons couldn't penetrate consistently. The shields change faster than our targeting systems can adjust. Can we copy it? A voice asked through the comm. Copy it? Hyun-woo laughed, but there was no humor in it. We're going to make it better. Give me 3 weeks. I'll have a prototype ready. Give me 3 months. I'll have 1,000 ships equipped with shield technology better than anything the Vraxis have. This was happening everywhere. On Mars, on Earth's moon, on Europa, on Titan, everywhere humans lived. They were taking apart the fragments of Vraxis technology, learning, adapting, improving. Humans had always been good at this. They had learned to make fire from watching lightning. They had learned to fly from watching birds. Now they were learning to build weapons from watching their enemies. On Mars, General Jiho walked through the largest military complex ever built. The red planet had transformed into a fortress. Where terraforming equipment once stood, weapons factories now churned day and night. Where scientists had studied soil samples, they now designed missile systems. Status report, Jiho said to his staff. A young officer pulled up holographic displays. Sir, we have 40,000 new volunteers this week. That brings our total military personnel to 8 million. 8 million. The same number that died on Terra Nova. Everyone knew it wasn't a coincidence. Humanity was replacing every life lost with a soldier. What about ships? Ho asked. We've converted every cargo hauler, every mining vessel, every passenger transport that their owners would give up. That's 12,000 ships. The shipyards are producing 300 new military vessels every month. In a year, we'll have a fleet of 16,000. Ho nodded. Before Terra Nova, humanity had 200 military ships. Now they were building an armada. Every human colony contributed. Every resource was directed toward one goal: survival. And revenge. What about training? Jiho asked. Every person on Mars between 18 and 40 is in combat training. We've established bases on Phobos, Deimos, and in the asteroid belt. Sir, we're training 500,000 soldiers every month. On Earth, in a secret facility beneath the Swiss Alps, Eugen sat across from a holographic projection. The figure was alien. Not Vraxis, something else. Something that looked like a cross between an insect and a bird. You understand the risk? Eugen asked in the translated language. If the Vraxis discover you're talking to us, they'll kill you. They'll kill your entire world. The alien's translation device made clicking sounds before words came out. They're already killing us slowly. The Vraxis don't see us as people. We're tools, things to be used. You humans are the first species in 1,000 years to fight back. We want to help. What can you tell us about them? Eugen asked. The Vraxis Empire controls 1,247 worlds. They have conquered 847 different species. Most of those species are extinct now. The ones that survive serve as slaves. They use us to mine resources, build ships, grow food. Everything in their empire runs on slave labor. Eugen leaned forward. How many slave species are there? 43, the alien replied. 43 species, all waiting for someone to break their chains. Eugen smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Tell your people to be ready. Tell them to watch for humans. When we come, we won't come as conquerors. We'll come as liberators. Every species that joins us will be an equal partner. No slaves, no masters, just allies. The alien's expression was hard to read, but Eugen thought it looked hopeful. The galaxy has waited a long time for someone to say those words. After the transmission ended, Eugen sent her report to Earth's new unified command. Humanity had 43 potential allies inside the Vraxis Empire. 43 species that wanted freedom. That could change everything. Back in the asteroid belt, Hyunwoo tested his new shield system. The prototype hummed to life. Blue energy surrounded the test ship. An engineer fired a high-powered laser at it. The beam bounced off harmlessly. It works, someone whispered. Of course it works, Hyunwoo said. Now fire the plasma cannon. The cannon fired. The bolt of superheated gas hit the shield and dispersed. The shield held. Now fire everything at once. 3 different weapons hit the shield simultaneously. It flickered but held strong. Hyunwoo nodded in satisfaction. Package this. Send the blueprints to every shipyard in human space. I want this on every ship we have. The Vraxis think their technology makes them superior. We're about to teach them that humans don't stay inferior for long. On Europa, underwater factories assembled torpedoes. On Titan, chemical plants produced fuel for the new fleet. On Venus, in floating cloud cities, drones built fighter craft. Every world, every station, every settlement contributed to the war effort. Humanity had spent 200 years spreading through their solar system peacefully. They had debated every military decision. They had argued about the ethics of weapons in space. They had wanted to meet alien life as friends. Terra Nova had ended all of that. Now humanity moved with a single purpose. There would be time for peace later. First, there would be war. General Jiho stood in front of a massive display showing the solar system. Red dots marked every military installation. Blue dots marked every ship. There were thousands of both. In 1 year, humanity had built a war machine that would have been unthinkable before Terra Nova. General, incoming transmission from the Unified Command, an officer said. Jiho opened the channel. The faces of Earth's leaders appeared. President Kim of the Earth Union, Chancellor Bora of the Mars Federation, Director Juan of the Asteroid Coalition. All of humanity's governments had united under one command structure. Something that would have taken decades of negotiation had happened in weeks after Terra Nova fell. General Jiho, President Kim said, the Unified Command has made a decision. We're done preparing, we're done building. We're done waiting. It's time to show the Vraxis what happens when you awaken humanity. You have authorization to begin Operation Thunderfall. Jiho felt his heart race. Operation Thunderfall. The plan they had worked on for 6 months. The largest military operation in human history. Understood, Madam President, Jiho said. How many targets? All of them, she replied. We're not going to attack the Vraxis carefully. We're not going to test their defenses. We're going to hit 100 worlds simultaneously. We're going to hit them so hard and so fast that they won't know what happened until it's over? It was the smile of a predator about to strike. Ma'am, it will be my pleasure. The transmission ended. Jiho turned to his officers. Send the order. All fleet commanders report to their vessels. All soldiers to battle stations. In 72 hours, we launched the largest attack in human history. Across human space, sirens began to sound. Not warning sirens, battle sirens. The sound meant only one thing. Humanity was going to war. In orbit around Mars, 16,000 warships began to move. Each one was named after someone who died on Terra Nova. Each one carried soldiers who had volunteered to avenge them. Each one was equipped with technology that the Vraxis thought only they possessed. The Vraxis Empire had destroyed 847 civilizations. They had killed trillions. They had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years. They thought they were invincible. They were about to learn that humanity had a saying that explained why they had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. A saying that explained why they never stayed down for long. You can knock us down, but we get back up. And when we do, we hit back twice as hard. The Armada moved out of the solar system. Destination, 100 Vraxis worlds. Mission, liberation. Method, overwhelming force, Terra Nova had fallen. Now it was the Vraxis Empire's turn to learn what falling felt like. Fleet Admiral De Jong stood on the bridge of Terra's Vengeance, the new flagship of humanity's fleet. Around him, holographic displays showed 100 different star systems. In each one, human ships were about to attack. All fleets report ready, Admiral, his communications officer said. De Jong took a deep breath. 18 months ago, he had been a cargo ship captain, hauling supplies between Earth and Mars. Then Terra Nova fell. Then everything changed. Now he commanded 16,000 warships and 500,000 soldiers. To all fleet commanders, De Jong said into the open channel, today we begin the long road back. Today we show the Vraxis that humanity doesn't forgive. We don't forget. And we don't lose. All ships, attack formation. May everyone who died on Terra Nova guide your weapons true. Execute Operation Thunderfall. 100 human fleets dropped out of faster-than-light travel at exactly the same moment. Each fleet targeted a different Vraxis world. Not their core worlds. Not their military bases. De Jong had chosen his targets carefully. Supply depots, communication hubs, lightly defended colony worlds. Places where the Vraxis wouldn't expect an attack. On the world designated Target 17, Vraxis soldiers relaxed at their posts. This was a food production planet worked by 3 different slave species. The Vraxis had held it for 600 years. Nothing ever happened here. Then the human ships appeared. What is that? A Vraxis guard asked, pointing at the sky. Unknown vessels, another replied. Send a query signal. The signal never finished transmitting. Human missiles struck every military installation on the planet within 3 minutes. The Vraxis orbital defense platforms exploded before they could fire a single shot. The ground bases were hit so fast that most defenders died before they even knew. They were under attack. Commander Nari led the ground forces. Her dropships landed in the middle of the largest slave camp. Vraxis soldiers rushed to stop them. They didn't make it far. Secure the area, Nari ordered. Medical teams, help the wounded. Engineering teams, start disabling the control collars. The slaves watched in confusion as humans moved through the camp. They had never seen these creatures before. They definitely had never seen anyone attack the VR axis. Nari approached a group of the insect-like aliens she recognized from Eugen's intelligence reports. She spoke into her translator. We are humans. We're here to free you. The Vraxis killed 8 million of our people. We're making sure they can't kill anyone else. Will you join us? The lead alien stared at her for a long moment. Then it made a sound that the translator couldn't process. But Nari didn't need a translation. She recognized the sound of crying, of relief, of hope. Yes, the alien finally said. Yes, we will join you. This scene repeated across 100 worlds. Human ships struck fast and hard. They destroyed Vraxis military forces. They freed slaves. They offered alliances. And then they moved on to the next target. The Vraxis High Council met in emergency session on their capital world. They had just received reports from 100 planets. All attacked simultaneously. All within the same hour. This is impossible, Council Leader Vexner said. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. How did they build a fleet this large? How did they learn to navigate our space? How did they know which worlds to target? The humans have help, Intelligence Director Vexrel reported. We're detecting slave species technology in their ships. Someone inside our empire is feeding them information. Then find the traitors and execute them, Vexner commanded. And send the 3rd Fleet to crush these humans? Which target should they pursue? Vexrel asked. What do you mean, which target? Vexner demanded. Sir, the humans hit 100 worlds. By the time we reach any of them, the humans are gone. They don't stay to defend what they take. They liberate a world and immediately attack another. They're moving faster than we can respond. Vexner felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. How many worlds have we lost? In the first week? 100. But sir, it's getting worse. The species they free are joining them. They're gaining ships and soldiers every day. And they're sharing their technology. Species that we've kept primitive for centuries now have weapons equal to ours. Stop them, Vexner shouted. I don't care how many ships it takes. Stop them! But stopping the humans was like trying to catch smoke. Every time the Vraxis sent a fleet to defend a system, the humans would attack 3 others. Their strategy was simple but brutally effective. Hit fast, hit hard. Don't stop. Never give the enemy time to organize. On Terra's vengeance, De Jong studied the results. In 3 months, humanity had liberated 300 worlds. The Vraxis Empire was fracturing. Supply lines were broken. Communication networks were compromised by Eugen's agents. Confusion spread through their military. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission, his communications officer said. It's from one of the freed worlds. They want to contribute ships to our fleet. How many ships? De Jong asked. 2,000, sir. And they have more being built. De Jong smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. Humanity wasn't building an empire. They were building a coalition. Every freed species added their strength willingly. The Vraxis had ruled through fear. Humanity was leading through hope. Accept their ships, De Jong said. Integrate them into our fleet structure. Make sure their crews know they're full partners, not subordinates. General Jiho reviewed the battle reports from Mars Command. The numbers were staggering. In 6 months, the human-led coalition had taken 400 worlds. The Vraxis Empire, which had controlled 1,247 worlds, now controlled 847. They were losing a world every 4 days. What frightens them most? President Kim asked during their daily briefing. It's not our weapons, Erho replied. It's our philosophy. Every species we free becomes an equal partner. We share technology freely. We offer genuine democracy, not puppet governments. The Vraxis built their empire on slaves and fear. We're building a coalition on freedom and hope. Their model can't compete. On a Vraxis border world, soldiers whispered among themselves. They had heard the stories. Worlds falling to the humans. But not just falling, transforming, slave species rising up. Old enemies becoming friends. The humans offered something the Vraxis never had. A better way. Some Vraxis soldiers began to wonder, what if they were on the wrong side? Commander Nari stood on the recently liberated world of Target Fort 27. Behind her, 3 different species worked together to rebuild what the Vraxis had destroyed. Humans, the insect-like Krell, and a species that looked like walking plants all labored side by side. A Krell approached her. Commander Nari, we have finished analyzing the Vraxis data cores we captured. You should see this. Nari followed him to a computer terminal. The screen showed a list. A long list. What am I looking at? She asked. The Vraxis have destroyed 847 civilizations, the Krell explained. This is the list. Names, worlds, dates. They kept records of everyone they killed. They were proud of it. Nari felt cold anger settle in her chest. 847 species. Trillions of lives. Thousands of years of murder. Send this to Admiral De Jong. Make sure every ship in our fleet sees it. Everyone needs to know what we're fighting against. The list spread through the human fleet like fire. Soldiers read the names of extinct civilizations. Scientists saw descriptions of destroyed cultures. Engineers examined records of conquered technologies that had been stolen and suppressed. The Vraxis hadn't just killed people. They had erased entire ways of thinking. Entire forms of art, music, philosophy. They had stolen the galaxy's potential and replaced it with uniformity and fear. This changes things, De Jong said after reading the records. We're not just fighting for revenge anymore. We're fighting for every species that can't fight back. We're fighting to make sure the Vraxis never do this again. He opened a channel to all ships in the Coalition fleet. To every soldier, every pilot, every crew member, I want you to understand something. The Vraxis have killed 847 civilizations. They thought humanity would be number 848. They were wrong. We're not a victim. We're a reckoning. And we won't stop until every slave is free and every Vraxis weapon is destroyed? The fleet cheered, not because they loved war, but because they finally understood the true scope of what they were doing. This wasn't just about Terra Nova anymore. This was about justice for trillions of beings who couldn't seek it themselves. In the next 6 months. The Coalition took 300 more worlds. The Vraxis now controlled only 547 planets. Half their empire was gone. And the humans showed no signs of slowing down. Vexner stared at the map of his shrinking empire and felt true terror for the first time in his long life. The humans weren't just winning. They were rewriting the rules of galactic civilization. And there was nothing he could do to stop them. The Vraxis High Council chamber was silent. Vexner looked at the faces of the other council members. They all showed the same expression. Panic. The mighty Vraxis Empire, undefeated for 8,000 years, was dying. We have lost 700 worlds. Dexner said quietly. The humans have been fighting us for 2 years. In those 2 years, they have cut our empire in half. Our military is in disarray. Our supply chains are broken. Rebellions are spreading across the remaining worlds. We are losing this war. Then we must sue for peace, Councilmember Draxic suggested. Negotiate with the humans. Perhaps we can keep half our territory. No, Dexner said sharply. If we negotiate, we show weakness. Every slave species will rise up. Every subject world will rebel. The empire will collapse completely. There's only one option left. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant. The planet killers? Vexrol whispered. But sir, using those weapons is forbidden by every law we ourselves wrote. They destroy entire worlds. Billions die in seconds. I know what they do, Dexner said coldly. And I know that if we cannot hold our worlds, we must deny them to the humans. We will deploy planet killer weapons on 50 worlds that are about to fall. If we cannot have them, no one can. It will send a message. It will make the humans think twice about their crusade. In the asteroid belt of a freed world, Intelligence Officer Bio Ra reviewed intercepted Vraxis communications. Her team had been working for 3 days without sleep, trying to crack the latest Vraxis military codes. Then she saw it. A transmission that made her blood freeze. Oh no, she whispered. No, no, no. She immediately opened a priority channel to Admiral De-Young. Sir, we have a critical situation. The Vraxis are deploying planet killer weapons. 50 worlds. They're going to destroy them rather than let us free them. We have 72 hours before the weapons activate. De-Young felt his stomach drop. Planet killer weapons were the worst things in the galaxy. One weapon could turn an entire world into dead rock. Billions would die. Which worlds? Sending the list now, sir. But Admiral, most of these worlds are heavily populated. We're talking about 4.2 billion lives. We can't evacuate that many people in 72 hours. It's impossible. De-Young looked at the list. 50 worlds. Some were slave colonies. Some were Vraxis agricultural planets. Some were mixed populations. All of them were about to die. He called an emergency meeting with President Kim and the coalition leadership. Faces appeared on screens. Humans, Krell, and representatives from 20 other freed species. We have 72 hours, De-Young explained. We have 3 options. 1. Evacuate our forces and let the worlds die. 2. Try to evacuate everyone and probably fail, losing ships and people in the process. 3. Attack the Vraxis positions on these worlds and try to disable the weapons before they activate. The third option is suicide, General Jiho said. These are heavily defended worlds. We'd lose half our fleet trying to take them. Then we choose option 2, President Kim said firmly. We evacuate as many as we can. But ma'am, an admiral protested, many of these worlds are Vraxis colonies. They're our enemies. Why would we save them? Governor Haywon, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Her voice was strong despite having lost everything on Terra Nova. Because we're not the Vraxis. Because if we let billions die when we could save them, we become exactly what we're fighting against. Because mercy is what separates us from them. The room fell silent. Then, one by one, every leader nodded. All ships, De-Young ordered. Emergency rescue operation. We have 72 hours to evacuate 4.2 billion people from 50 worlds. This is the largest rescue mission in galactic history. Move out, 10,000 coalition ships raced to the targeted worlds. They weren't warships anymore. They were rescue vessels. Cargo holds were emptied. Weapons were powered down to save energy for life support. Every available space was designated for refugees. Commander Nari landed on a Vraxis agricultural world. The population was entirely Vraxis civilians, farmers who had nothing to do with the military. When they saw human ships landing, they panicked. Please, Nari said through her translator, standing in the middle of a small town. Your government has placed a planet killer weapon on this world. In 60 hours, it will activate. We're here to evacuate you. We're here to save your lives. Why? An elderly Vraxus asked. We're your enemies. You should let us die. You're not my enemy, Nari said. Your government is. You're just people trying to live your lives. Now please, we don't have much time. Take what you can carry and get on the ships. This scene repeated on 50 worlds. Human ships, along with vessels from freed species, worked frantically to save as many lives as possible. They didn't ask if people were Vraxus or slaves. They didn't ask about politics or loyalty. They just saved everyone they could reach. On one world, a Vraxus mother handed her child to a human soldier. Please, she begged. Save my child. The soldier, a young man named Taeyang, took the child carefully. I'll keep her safe, he promised. I swear it. The mother couldn't fit on the transport. It was already full. She watched as the ship took off, carrying her daughter to safety. She would die when the planet killer activated. But her child would live. Because humans, the species she had been taught to hate, had chosen mercy over revenge. 72 hours later, the planet killers activated. 50 worlds died. Massive explosions tore through their cores. Atmospheres burned away. Oceans boiled into space. In seconds, 50 living worlds became 50 dead rocks, but the evacuation had worked better than anyone hoped. The coalition saved 4.2 billion lives. Not everyone. Some people refused to evacuate. Some were too far from pickup points. Some ships couldn't reach remote areas. But they saved most of them. The images spread across the galaxy instantly. The Vraxus had murdered billions of their own people. But humans had saved billions more, including many Vraxus civilians. The contrast was stark on Vraxus worlds across the Empire. People watched. They saw their government commit genocide. They saw humans risk their lives to save enemy civilians. They saw proof that everything their leaders had told them was a lie. Rebellions erupted on 200 Vraxus worlds simultaneously. Vraxus soldiers refused to fight. Some entire fleets defected to the coalition. The Empire didn't just crack. It shattered. Vexner watched his empire collapse in real time. This was supposed to terrify them, he whispered. This was supposed to make them stop. Sir, Vexrel said quietly, I don't think humans know how to stop. I think we woke something that won't rest until we're finished. On Terra's vengeance, Dae-Young addressed the coalition fleet. Behind him stood Vraxus refugees who had chosen to stay with the humans rather than return to what remained of the Empire. Today, the Vraxus showed the galaxy who they really are, Dae-Young said. They murdered 12 worlds, including their own people. They thought it would break our will. They were wrong. Every life we save today is proof that our way is better. That cooperation beats domination. That mercy beats cruelty. The Empire is falling. Not because we're stronger than them, but because we're better than them. The fleet cheered. In the crowd, Taeyang held the Vraxus child he had saved. She was sleeping peacefully, unaware that she represented the future. A future where old enemies could become friends. Where the galaxy was united by choice, not force. Haewon stood on Mars, looking at a memorial wall. It listed every name of every person who died on Terra Nova. 8 million names. She touched one name gently. Her daughter's name. We didn't get revenge, she said softly. We got something better. We got justice. And we proved that humans, even in our darkest hour, chose to be better than our pain. The Vraxus Empire had 1 week left before it ceased to exist. They didn't know it yet, but everyone else did. The galaxy had changed forever. And it had changed because humanity chose mercy when cruelty would have been easier.